This conference will now be recorded.
Wow, full house. Welcome, everybody. That's
Yay.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
well. We'll do the really quick round robin just because I know there's some new faces that people have. I know we know everybody, but I know that some people haven't been here before. So I'm Dan Digman, and I live in Michigan. I was diagnosed with MS in 2000, and
I'm Jennifer Digman. Oh, whoa, where'd that go? Oh,
We're still here.
you're here.
You're still here on my end.
if you would have seen what just happened on my computer, but we're good. So start over. I'm Dan. This is
Jennifer. And I was diagnosed with MS, oh my goodness, way back in 1997.
okay, and then we're working around. So then this next, Kim, you're up.
You can't do the clock.
I can't do the clock. We're like
Hey,
rows,
there's
so
too many people here.
so you're at the top row. So Kim,
Kim Stroh, 2012 diagnosed. I live in Iowa.
bam. Next to you, Frank.
Frank Austin, diagnosed in 1997, and I live in Kansas.
Boom, and then topping off the top row, that's you, Hannah.
Hi guys, so I'm Hannah. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, diagnosed in 2017 with relapsing remitting MS.
Oh.
Bam. Okay, and I'm gonna there's no clock. I'll go clockwise, and so down below to the front row, it's you, Randy Patrick. You're up.
All right, so I am in Maryland, here on the East Coast. Just hit my 8-year diagnosis mark last week. So
Right.
November of 2012.
Then next over, it's you, Michelle.
Oh, it's me. My name is Michelle. I was diagnosed in 2015 with advanced relapsing remitting, suspicion of secondary progressive, and I live in Orlando. I'm waiting on the hurricane to turn back around. Woohoo!
Wow. See, that's
Things
what's so
just kind
cool.
of hanging out down there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's doing its little twist and turn. I think it likes Chuck Berry or something.
So then keep working over. It's now you're at like 6 o'clock then, Mike. Who are you? Where are you from? That's you, Mike.
Mike Pettypool. I live in Arizona. I was diagnosed in 1997.
Nice.
Yeah.
One more over. Then this is to you, Gail.
Hi, everyone. Gail Emerson here. I was diagnosed in 2018 with primary progressive, and I live in Texas, in the Houston area.
Very cool. And Tree, good to see you again. You're finishing up the group tonight. What do you got?
I'm Tree. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and I was diagnosed last month. I think it's been a month now, but I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
Wow.
Think so.
Last
Okay,
month.
so now that we know everybody, let's talk.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about tonight?
What's on your mind? Because I've got I can talk more Springsteen, so I'm saving that. So yeah, what do we got?
I had a question. I can maybe start us off.
Yes.
I just had my annual checkup MRI recently, I think like last Tuesday. And so I had that, and I was wondering, do you all get annual MRI checkups, or is it just a new thing? Okay, so
I get them.
says yes. Okay, so every single year. Okay, I wasn't quite sure. Some people get them maybe once every few years.
Year. That's what you want to hear.
What was that, Mike?
I say it's a good sign when your neurologist says come back in a year. That's all you want to hear from him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That means everything's working fine. Just come back in a year.
Yeah, I think
That's a good point.
when I was first diagnosed, I think my neurologist had me go in like every year, but I think now it is just kind of traipse off. I think I maybe get like every other year, conceivably every other year, but sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I just don't feel like doing it. So bad attitude.
Yeah.
How often do y'all see your neurologist? I mean, like Mike brought it up. He said, don't come back in a year. But for instance, I see my neurologist every 3 to 4 months, even though I only get MRIs once a year.
That's about right.
Yeah, I've been about every 6 months. Well, actually, the last two have been, televisits. Actually, even before COVID, my last one was a televisit, but it's been about every 6 months for me.
Yeah, same here, about every 6 months.
I was really excited when my neuro put me on 4 months, and then I had a fallback in ability, and he was like, "Oh, now so now I'm back to every 3 months."
Okay.
Oh,
That is a good neurologist, though.
yeah, he's awesome. I love him.
That's good.
How about you, Gail? Have you had?
I'm actually due to have Ocrevus tomorrow, so that was one of my questions. But my doctor wants to see me in March of next year for an MRI. So I guess it's been about a yearly thing to have an MRI with her, but I see her every 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
She's on top.
Okay. Are you nervous, Gail?
I'm sorry?
Are you nervous, Gail?
Well, one of my questions to you all was, this is my first full infusion. So I've had the first, split in half infusion for Ocrevus, and I did fine with that, but I've not ever had a full infusion. So did y'all ever have those of you on Ocrevus, did your first infusions go well, or what were your experiences?
Is there anybody else besides me who's on Ocrevus? I forget.
Kim is.
I'm on Tysabri.
Gilenia here, so.
Okay. Because I take Ocrevus too. And I think I'm up to, this is my 3rd year, I think. I'm starting to lose track, but I remember my first 2 infusions, I had some pretty bad reaction. Well, I say bad, but getting used to it now. It's not so bad in hindsight, at least from my perspective. But my very first full infusion, for me at least, it went pretty smoothly. So hopefully it does for you too. I mean, I had basically some reactions after I went home that same night and continuing on the next few days afterwards, but it got better every single time afterward. So now there's really no reactions at all for me. So hopefully it's the same for you.
The first 2 were fine. The half.
That's great.
Yeah. How about you, Kim?
I have not noticed any reactions to Ocrevus. The only issues I have is with the steroid. So I'll get the munchies the first day, and then I'll have problems sleeping, and then as I get off the steroid, it's kind of not the funnest thing in the world. But like I said, my reactions are steroid based, not Ocrevus based.
Yeah, I tend to.
Could you explain what you mean by the steroids? I don't know anything about this.
Oh, sure, Tree. So when you take Ocrevus, before they actually infuse you with the medication, they give you, I can't remember the dosage. Do you remember the dosage, Hannah? Is it 250 milligrams or?
I believe it's 100 milligrams, at least for me.
Something like that. They give you an IV dosage of, it's called Solumedrol. And then afterwards, some places do it before. They also then give you like 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol, like 50 milligrams of Benadryl. and then they'll give you the infusion of Ocrevus. And usually for me, the time period depending on the clinic can be like 7 hours to like 6 hours total time from when I get in the door to when I leave. It's an all-day thing.
Yeah, same here. It's an all-day thing. So the steroids are no fun at all either. Like,
I love them at the beginning because I get this energy, which I love. But then when they start to taper down, I don't sleep at all the first night. Like, good luck getting in bed before 2 a.m.
yeah, I do have trouble sleeping as well. And I get pretty bad mood swings, not gonna lie.
Really? You get mood? You get the roid rage?
Yeah, I do. I really do. It's pretty terrible for people around me.
No one has commented on my behavior, so I think we're good. I think I'm usually happy because I I got energy, yay!
Yeah, I didn't know that it was the steroids that did that, but I also get energy too, and I feel pretty good in like the several days to a week after my infusion. But I guess everybody's different. I know some people they have the opposite reaction to the steroids, and they absolutely hate it and absolutely can't tolerate it at all. Not me though.
Now, my last infusion, they accidentally only gave me 1 Benadryl instead of 2. She realized it like 30 minutes in. So I started getting like this headache, and then it like tapered off when the second part of the Benadryl kicked in. But she was like, "Oh yeah, let me get this to you." I'm like,
I always get the.
And then I don't know about any of you, but Tree, you were asking about steroids. I know that in the past when my MS flares up really bad and my doctor wants to tamp down that inflammation, she chooses to use steroids. So I'll get like a big dose of Cyamendrol, like IV Cyamendrol, or before I went insane on prednisone, I would use prednisone to try and get the inflammation down. And I see a lot of you nodding heads. Those steroids like that, Tree, you don't have to take them necessarily with the disease modifying therapy, but they can sometimes help if you're having a little flare up.
Do you get the metallic taste in your mouth from the Solumedrol?
I've never had a problem.
Lions.
I've only had steroids once. It was it was the very first infusion I had right after diagnosis because my body was too inflamed. And I never had any issue with steroid except for, it brought out my natural ability to have a conversation with just about anything. But aside from that, I didn't notice any. Well, and then keeping me awake. It's like being on crack or something. You can't fall asleep. Not that I know what that is. I'm kidding around there when I say that, using little air quotes,
I have a question for Randy.
Sure.
Randy, did you say that your diagnosis was very recently?
Me, no, I just hit 8 years. That was last week was my 8th year anniversary. So yeah.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
You got diagnosed a month after me, Randy. I got diagnosed October 16th, 2012.
Okay. Hey, 2012 club.
2012 all the way.
But I do believe, was it Kim that she was diagnosed last month?
No, that's Tree.
Oh, Tree. I'm sorry.
How's the first month been then?
Yeah.
So I told my mom, and my mom has MS. She did not freak out as badly as I expected her to. Friday, I found out I was accepted into the MS clinic. So I see them on the 18th.
Oh, woohoo! That's super exciting.
That takes so much weight off of me because I've been studying and like reading all of the things about all the medications because I was afraid I was going to have to know everything and pick it for myself because my current neurologist is incompetent. Although on that note, I found out Aubagio has antiviral properties, and MS patients who have caught COVID who were on Aubagio have recovered faster than any other MS medication.
I did hear something about that. I don't know too much about that, but that is pretty cool to hear.
And with you being in Texas, your numbers with COVID are a little higher than the rest of the country, aren't they? They're pretty high.
Yep.
Yeah.
San Antonio is a hot spot in particular because of our medical center.
And when will you see a neurologist or see the MS clinic?
On the 18th.
Ooh, that's cool.
That's super soon.
That's really good.
Wow.
And this was the center that you were wanting to get into, Tree, that you had to like refax all your information to, if I'm remembering this.
So they rejected me because they're not taking new clients right now, and they referred me to a different MS clinic in the city, who I had to have my stuff faxed to 3 times.
Okay. But they're still in the same city because there was like an issue with driving and everything. So.
Yeah. This one's about a half an hour from my house.
Okay. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Please remind me what the doctor's name is.
It's Dr. Ann Bass.
Okay. I was hoping you would say Ann Bass. That's cool. It's good.
That's good.
Yeah, she's out in Stone Oak, so it'll be. Unfortunately, my appointment's at 3:30, so coming back will be during rush hour traffic. And
yeah,
it's a horrible part of town for rush hour traffic.
It is, yeah. Yes, it is.
So we'll, probably park in a parking lot and eat like Whataburger or something to kill some time.
I'm glad that you at least got an appointment with her. Everybody that I've ever spoken to that has Dr. Bass as a doctor says that they love her. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Although,
I'm excited for you.
There was like this brief moment where I was like super excited that she accepted me, and I was like, this is very validating. This proves that it's MS because the MS specialist wants me. And then I was like, but this also proves it's MS, and there is no hope that it isn't MS anymore. And
yeah,
because there's a tinge of me that was hoping my current neurologist was wrong.
Yeah. I'm sure we can all understand that completely, but at least we have answers though. That's always, at least for me, that was probably the biggest relief about my diagnosis, is that there was an answer finally. So
yeah.
When the first neurologist told me like it's not a brain tumor, like you know how much weight that lifted off my shoulders? Like, okay, not cancer, check that one off. Yes.
So, funny story, when we were first trying to figure out what was wrong, I did all this research, and I'm like, okay, so if I have a small tumor on my pituitary gland that's non-cancerous, it can be removed through my nose, doesn't require open skull surgery, and it would explain all my symptoms.
that's interesting.
Way to be positive. Woohoo! That's just wrong in so many respects that we think that way, but it's relieving to think that way.
Yeah, because I don't know about you all, but it sounds like we've all been told it's either cancer or multiple sclerosis. I mean, that was my doctor when I first saw him, because I presented with eye things. And he was like, well, it can be cancer, or it can be multiple sclerosis, and you get the diagnosis and you're like, shoo. You know, I don't know if anybody else was like that.
I was one of the ones where I didn't have that, but my first neurologist, notice I said first neurologist, basically looked me straight in the eye and he said, "You're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with you." And then of course more symptoms showed, a couple of weeks later, and then all of a sudden it was like, "Oh, it's this," and I'm like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?"
Oh, geez.
But yeah.
So how long
Lupus for me.
neurologist?
What was that? I'm sorry.
How long before you switched neurologist?
So I was with him for about a month, and then on the back end, I was trying to get into an MS specialist, which took me about 3 months to get in. So as soon as I was able to get in, he actually, I think my first appointment with my current doctor, I think my first appointment was probably 2 hours at least, 2 to 2.5 hours, just because he actually explained everything. It wasn't just like, because even after the first neurologist told me what it was, I was asking questions and, researching, well, could it be Lyme disease? Could it be whatever? And he would literally like cut me off mid-sentence and be like, no. And like, he wouldn't answer any questions. And it was like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can just feel and imagine your frustration. I'm so glad that you fired him and got someone else.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And other people local nearby have had, similar experiences too. So.
Was his specialty listed as MS or something else? Because I went on, my first neurologist also told me that I didn't have MS, and she went looking for quite a stenosis and no explanation for what she was looking for in the brain, and didn't do any MRIs of my cervical or thoracic spine, just my brain and lumbar. And and so when I went back after, I used her to get in with other people. So and I went into my next appointment with a neurosurgeon because she just recommended I get surgery, but didn't say for what. She said there was no etiology for any of my symptoms. Consider surgery. That was all she said. I know, it's insane what you hear sometimes. And then, so I went looking on her website on, her qualifications list, her education and all of that. And I discovered that her specialty was epilepsy. And so that's when I was like, okay, well, she just doesn't know anything about neurological disease.
Yeah, I had a feeling this guy, I guess I never looked up his specialty like that, but it was kind of the one, I guess, appointed to me when I was in the hospital when I first started showing symptoms. But I remember at some point after he did all the lumbar puncture, like all that stuff, just to try to, once I started having other symptoms, he, did all the stuff, of course, after telling me I was fine. But then he literally came in one of my last appointments and he threw he had 4 packets of like DMT information. I think one was Copaxone, or was Avonex Rebif, and maybe Betaseron. And he just literally threw them on the table in front of me, and he's like, "Here, pick one. Any one of these will guarantee you'll never have an issue ever again." And it's funny, like, knowing what I know now. It's like, wow, So yeah, I'm glad I was able to get out of there.
Yeah, exactly. And my situation didn't go that way. I knew I had MS several years before. Well, it was highly suspected, like I would say 95 to 98% expected upon my own personal research. And then I was a freelance employee, or not an employee. I was freelance administrative assistant because I'd been laid off so many times, and then 2008-9 recession hit and I said, I'm done with this. So I had no insurance and I needed to get a job. So a job found me, I got hired, and then I started going through the process of searching. And I started, my major problem that forced me into a neurologist's office was the trigeminal neuralgia. I knew that something was wrong, and I knew it had to deal with the MS because I already had suspected it. And I needed to kind of, in my own sort of way, I guess it's reassuring myself, but I told my sister what my suspicions were. And I guess kind of, as a measure for support. And we cried a little bit, and then I went home, and by the end of that month, I had an appointment with that neurologist I first told you about a minute ago. And then I guess, now thinking back on it, I could be a little bit weary. If you can get into an appointment with a neurologist within 2 to 3 weeks, there's no problem. But after her, I saw a neurosurgeon that she recommended. And he said that the moment I walked through his office, into his office, he knew that I had MS. But that particular day, I mean, my body was so inflamed by that point. This was 6 weeks after getting home from my sister's house in Denver. And my body becomes so inflamed by that point. My gait was down to about 4 to 5 inches. I was using a rolling suitcase to carry my purse. And I think that particular day I was in so much pain that I couldn't even walk myself to the office. I mean, multiple tries to get up from a sitting position, and just bothered by the whole idea of having to walk, because it was just going to be, it's going to take me 30 minutes to go, 50, 60 feet to get into the exam room. And so they just pulled a wheelchair up and pushed me in, and that was it. I mean, he knew the moment he saw me walk, even 10 feet, 5 feet, that was the issue.
How long ago was that? Was that like when you were diagnosed?
Yeah, that was 2015. My first appointment with that neurologist was in the beginning of May, and the neurosurgeon I think I saw mid-June, and then after let's see, I didn't get in with him.
No,
I think I had to wait like 6 weeks to see him or something. It was crazy. I had to fight for an appointment.
Are you seeing a different neurologist now? I mean, it sounds like a number of us are with like MS centers and.
Yeah. So after he did the 2 MRIs that were missing, he sent me to a MS specialist to do an EMG on my legs. That's the peripheral nerve test to see if the peripheral nerves are working. And then if that test is normal, then they know it's a spinal problem. So then after that, the doctor, the specialist that I saw for the test was like, well, this is normal. And then he was proceeding to just walk out of the office. And I was like, wait a minute, explain to me, what this is, because I was initially referred as a patient and to have the test, but evidently his front office staff got that referral incorrect. And so that's where I had some problems getting in, but he's the doctor that I'm seeing now. And he's amazing. I mean, he tests me, we talk at length. He knows that I like to educate for MS. And that's, I want to make sure truthful information gets put out there. But for all of my length of time to, from talking to my sister until diagnosis, that was a span of 9 months. So for me, I already knew, or was sure what I had, I just needed a doctor that was willing to work with me. And not that the doctor took my recommendation. The doctor did certify my, but the neurosurgeon said, I'm giving you the informal diagnosis, but I can't give you the formal diagnosis. So he had to refer me back to that test, doctor, which, I was like, look, I've been doing this for 9 months. I'm sick of doing this, blah, blah, blah. You need to get me in. The initial referral was to be a patient, and you've screwed that up. So you have to admit me now. Because I think they were on the verge of not accepting patients as well, because his office was extremely busy when I first got there. But, 9 months is a short span of time from what I'm hearing from everybody else. But I didn't go through the same problems. I mean, I already had severe visible symptoms. My legs were dragging, my feet were turning under when I walked. My knee buckles out from underneath me. There's definite gait difference. There's definite gait problems, definite balance problems, definite, the trigeminal neuralgia. I mean, and then the list goes on, because as I've seen him for the last 6 years, the symptoms have accrued. Because for 2 years, as soon as I got diagnosed, 10 days later, my job laid me off. So I didn't have insurance for like 4 years. So for me, we just kind of chalked up any new symptom I had, because I wasn't having any pain or seemingly a relapse. We kind of suspected that it was old lesions, is what his physician assistant was saying. And so I was like, whatever. But it may have just been secondary progressive, moving on. And so I guess that's what she means by old lesions.
It's kind of like old money, new money, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to everyone. I'm going out there. So just listen to me on this. But I'm seeing the top row and the bottom row of everybody. Something you had said, Randy, and then Hannah and Tree, and a lot of you live in bigger cities, and so I'm just wondering, you got like San Antonio and Houston and but I'm wondering, we're in a small town. I mean, like 25,000. And so if we want to get recommendations from friends, from other people who have MS, it's not hard to find other people in town who have opinions and things about other neurologists, other doctors. Y'all are in really big cities. So it's like, how do, Hannah, when you said, oh, I hope that you, Tree, would get in to see blank doctor, how do you all, I mean, that's where you're fortunate in bigger cities, that there's more options. But then how do you go about finding the patients, the doctors, to get the referrals, to find out? I mean, or is it just going online and looking at Yelp or health grades or something? But how do you find other people? So I think that was the big thing for me, was finding other MS patients and what their experiences were. So then, obviously, we're in 2000 or 2020. How do you find other people in your areas, in your cities, that can give you referrals for experiences they've had with neurologists on who's good, who's bad?
Well, I can tell you what I did, and I think what really contributed to the span of time getting into people to get my diagnosis. Even while I was waiting for the appointments with the neurosurgeon and then elsewhere, I went in to my my health insurance, and I looked at the list of neurosurgeons, and then went to their respective clinics website, and then went to the individual doctors within that clinic, and looked to see what their qualifications were, what their studies were, all of those little things about them, because I learned the lesson on that first neurologist that was specializing in, what did I say? Epilepsy. Yeah, I learned my lesson with her. So you know, I went looking for people that specialized in neurological disease, specifically MS, and then just called their offices and made appointments. And I made appointments with like 3 or 4 neurologists in a row because I knew that the wait times would be 6 weeks. So I didn't wait for one and then see if I liked them and then wait to make another appointment. I just made appointments right down the line with multiple doctors. And I figured, you know what, even if those appointments are all, you know, within days of each other, if I find a doctor I like, I can always cancel those other appointments. And that might open it up for somebody who's waiting on a cancellation to get in.
Yeah. How about you, Gail? I mean, how did you find your doctor?
Well, the doctor that I have currently is doctor number 4 for me. So I'm actually in a town outside of Houston, small town. So I just went to our local neurologist clinic and found doctor number 1, and she started doing testing, and then she kind of reached the end of what she felt like she could do. So she referred me on to the medical center at that point. So then neurologist number 2, like you were saying, to find a specialty. So this particular doctor, she was specializing, I believe, in stroke. But at that point, you know, I'd asked doctor number 1, do you think this is MS? And she didn't think so at that time. So I didn't really have a specific goal in mind. You know, they were testing for Lyme disease and all other kinds of things, which you all probably know all about too. So we didn't know, you know, we really didn't know what this was. So then she referred me on to doctor number 3, who was within neurology. I just realized there's so many different subspecialties. Like, it's amazing how within this one specialty, there's so many different ways that you can go. So anyway, I determined that it was something neuromuscular at that point. And then he was the one that ordered several tests that became very indicative of MS. And so at that point, he said, I think you need an MS doctor. And so then he referred me on to doctor number 4, who's my current doctor. She's fantastic. But you know, we were all unsure of where this might go. So did not have a goal in mind. Oh, I think this is MS. I have no idea. So that was kind of my.
I had a pretty similar experience to you, Gail, where they didn't really have a specific goal in mind. I mean, they had their ideas of what it might be. So for me, it was lupus. So my primary care physician referred me to a rheumatologist first, actually, before the neurologist. So it was lupus on the table. It was Lyme disease on the table at one point. And then I think it was just, they don't know. And it was also waiting for things to happen so that they could have a specific direction. And then once my symptoms developed even more, which was pretty quick, I think for me, it was about a 6-month time frame between when I first started symptoms to when I got diagnosed. And then after that, then once my primary care physician finally saw that, yes, my symptoms were developing pretty quickly, they got me in pretty quickly to the neurologist. So it was just referrals to go back to what you were asking for, Dan. It was just referrals at that point from doctor to doctor. And me just kind of floating around in between just to find the answers. And then once I had that diagnosis and once I had a bit more of a clear understanding of what was actually going on with me, why my body was acting this way, that's when I could sort of fine tune my doctors and my preferences. And I'm talking about over a period of a couple of years. Well, I guess it's been a few years for me, maybe like a year and a half or so. Just sort of fine tuning after that, and knowing enough about myself and knowing enough about what I wanted from the healthcare provider that sort of led me to talking to other people and getting referrals from other people, or even just going online and not looking at reviews. I don't like looking at reviews of doctors because I feel like it's probably a little too far skewed from one end to the next. I would look at their website. I was losing my words for a second there, but I look at their website and look at their specialties and see what sort of impression they would make on me, and I would go from there. Go from there based off of what my insurance says that I could have.
Yeah.
So it really all boils down to insurance, really, but I can kind of go from there after I know what doctors to look for.
Yeah. And that, like medicine, we all talked, and, a few of you are on Ocrevus, and then there are different drugs. It's like, how did you decide? I mean, Kim, how did you decide on what Ocrevus? I mean, was that like your doctor's choice, or was that your choice?
When I was diagnosed in 2012, Mayo gave me the option of Rebif or Gilenya. And since Rebif had a track record, Gilenya was new, I went with Rebif. But my primary care physician had to start me on that. He's the actual side that said, you need neurologists on board. And so then I asked family friends of mine that lived in Des Moines, 3 hours away, hey, who do you recommend for a neurologist since your wife has MS? And like, go here. So actually for a while, I did drive from 3 hours one way to my neurologist, and now he's literally 12 minutes down the road from me, but another story. And then I got switched to Gilenya when Rebif side effects were too great, and then when I went blind in my left eye temporarily, that's when they switched me to Ocrevus.
Okay.
So my current neurologist is more like, he has his favorite drugs, and at the time when I switched to Ocrevus last year, that was his favorite. But I really appreciate, like, I think he really understands the drugs. I trust his opinion. He's just not throwing out random things, but that's how I got on Ocrevus. And I haven't had any problems with it. I haven't had any changes, so we're staying on Ocrevus. But he's really excited about some other drugs that are hitting the pipeline that he keeps telling me about.
Okay. Hi, Agatha.
She made it!
I think.
She here?
We'll see.
Agatha, you're muted.
Yeah.
There you go. Mine's still muted, Agatha. Oh.
Nope. Unmuted.
There you are, Agatha.
Well, maybe Agatha, if you don't want to speak, you don't have to. We'll put the spotlight. So.
I'll just make a comment quick then. It's like, as we were talking and stuff, just how our conversations, like the antithesis of what I do, like at marketing and stuff, we're talking about colleges and everything. To encourage the students to say your professors will know you by a name, not a number. But here we are talking about neurologist number 1, neurologist number 2. We're speaking in numbers. So I thought, anyway. Yeah. So what else? I mean, what else is on your minds here? Because again, I won't talk Springsteen. I mean, because there's other MS things. I mean, we're just like, oh, we're having a meeting on the 10th day of November. I want to talk about blank.
So the cool thing with me is 2 weeks ago, I have what I affectionately call my MS day camp that lasts for 12 weeks. And the physical therapist was talking about weight training and like free weights and machines, like any questions. I'm like, I need to do this, but it bores me to tears. I can't motivate myself. Blaring music only helps so much. And so one of the other MSers is like, hey, I know a personal trainer that someone else I know that has MS she loves. I'm like, hook me up. So he's only cost like $20 for 30 minutes because obviously I can't do more than 30 minutes. But he specializes with MS people. His grandma has MS. Like he is in it. So I've done my second session with him today, and I am like in love. Like this is what, because I was, bedbound for like 5.5 months. I deconditioned badly, and just looking at, I'm 41. And looking at like my grandparents, like when they're in their 50s and they're in better shape than I am now, and how they acted later on and their problems with mobility, nothing to do with MS, but I'm just like, freaks me out. So we worked last week for the first time, and he's like, I want you to feel like the next couple of days you can feel it, but not so much that you can't do anything because you're in so much pain. And he like nailed it. And I'm just like, you ever get that feeling sometimes in life where I'm like, I'm where I'm supposed to be, I'm where I'm supposed to be, like this thing with him, and then it's at a duplex. I don't think he lives there. He owns it, but he has it in his basement. It's set up. It's just me. I wear a mask. He wears a mask, and I am just psyched to be able to finally start working on like upper body and strength. And I've been needing to do this for a long time, and I actually have one of my barriers with doing a personal trainer was first the cost, and second of all, having to try to train a personal trainer when it comes to MS. Like you can't just push me and like you'll be sore a couple of days. Like I could be down for 2 or 3 days. You push me. So it's just like, oh, this is so great. And the gal next behind me after who arrives, she has MS. I know her.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about you were talking about the MS community. I love the MS community because they will hook you into certain. I never heard about this guy before, and boom, I'm in. And now if someone asks me, I'll be like, "You need to talk to Tyler. All right, you need to get the hook." And you guys, technically, if he does virtual sessions, so if you want to work out with him virtually, he would probably do that with you. So.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Something to think about.
Think about it.
Did you say $20 for 30 minutes? That's doable. That's really doable.
$80 a month. Hello. I can't, get myself. I am not one of those amazing people that can do the self workout. I can do the aerobic, the walking, my dog, I can do that. But the lifting, the weight, bores me to tears.
I, for years and years, all the physical therapists tried to do with me was weight training, trying to get me stronger, make me stronger, make me stronger. I don't need that. I mean, I don't need that. That's not what it was. I got connected to a neurophysical therapist.
Oh, wow.
Pennsylvania. And what a difference. I mean, it was not trying to make me stronger. Strength wasn't the issue. It was a coordination training.
Oh.
That's what I have too.
So
I
much.
see a physical therapist as well.
Now, Mike, do you have any experience with physical therapy?
I was referred by the Mayo Clinic to one of their physical therapists, and he's ordered a brace for me. I'm going to have a carbon fiber brace on my right leg. So I have starting to get drop foot in my right foot.
Okay.
And he had the device in his office, and I tried it on, and it was really cool. The other braces I've seen are so bulky, linebacker or something, and I don't want that feeling. But this is very modern, orthotic. The foot goes in your shoe underneath the pad, and I'm going to be fitted next week, and in a couple of weeks I'll have it. So
Nice.
That's what my neurologist at Mayo had in mind for me to go. When he said go to this physical therapist, I wasn't sure what he was going to do, work me out or show me devices. And and he nailed it. So I'm very sort of excited about it. I don't, I don't know, I don't want to become dependent on wearing that, but I know my gait AIT could improve, and I'm beyond the point of caring about what people think, but I tend to stumble now and then, and I think that this will really help. So you're right that the aspect we're looking for, what's really going to help us, whether it's strength training or lower body, upper body, or just getting around.
Yeah.
And there's lots of stories out there. Frank, what does your therapist do with you? Yeah, what did your therapist do with you?
They recommended a brace that you have never heard of before, you have never seen before. It was a physical therapist from the Cleveland Clinic that came up with this device. And it looks a little strange. No, let me rephrase that. It looks really damn strange. But what it does is it connects to your shoe and it goes around your waist, and it's got stretch bands that go down the side of your leg, and you actually start walking like normal again. And I was shocked. It's not covered by any insurance. And remember, it was a physical therapist at the Cleveland Clinic that invented it. I had to pay for it out of pocket, $500.
Wow.
It worked.
Mm.
It really, I mean, I was tremendously impressed. I could actually walk without any foot drop at all.
Wow.
Worth every penny.
Worth every penny of it. Looks a little bit strange. No, looks a lot strange. But it worked. I mean, what can I say? It works.
Yeah.
How
Do you
long have
happen
you
to
had it,
remember
Frank?
what it's called?
You know, let me look it up again, and next meeting I'll tell you, and I'll tell you about it next meeting. I'll try to wear it and let you see what it looks like.
I was going to say we need a demo.
I'm curious, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Really, it's weird. That's all I can say. It's weird.
Go grab it.
Fascinating.
Go grab it, Frank.
How long have you had it, Frank? How long have you used it?
I've had it for 3 years.
3 years.
Okay.
And it, I mean, it was this neurophysical therapist, and it was a guy and a gal, and they were absolutely fantastic. I mean, they had me going up and down stairs that I haven't been able to go up and down, you know, with reciprocating steps for years and years. And that was what they worked on. And that was the goal, to get me to go up and down the stairs without having to stop on every step.
Wow.
So
It's
yes,
one of those things to like that quote unquote able-bodied community. Just like if you could listen to us talk about like, oh my gosh, like we all got so excited when you talked about going up and down stairs. We're like, wow, good job.
yeah.
You know, it's like the little things that I think that multiple sclerosis has made me appreciate, when you can button your own pants or you can go up and down stairs. You're like, good job. With the little stuff. Yeah.
Tie bows finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do that now that it's getting close to, I don't want to speed up time, but Christmas cards, I know that people don't send them anymore, but I remember like my handwriting was for poop. And that was something that I worked on with my OT so I could write Christmas cards. This was probably 10 years ago, but just the little things that you have to work on, keep strong. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So, Jennifer, you mentioned buttoning your pants. And lately, not lately, back in 2016, my sister upset me when we were in France and I had tremors in both hands while I was trying to eat. It was a bad day. And that was the first time they'd ever gotten so bad that I couldn't feed myself. And it was a stress related, but I can't think of the word. The reason why they came on was because of the stress that she provided me. And I just had additional stress, tremors in my hands because of stress relating to her or other things going forward. And then lately, like my doctor put me in a drug trial, and one of the side effects happened to just cause not only my hands to rock, but my entire arms are going like this. It was crazy. And that was a drug side effect, but we took me off of that and they still happen. And then here lately, the tremors, they're gone. I don't experience that on a regular basis. I do sometimes when it's intention tremor for me. So when I try to do something, sometimes I have to try to control my hand to make it happen. I have to think about it, don't lock your hand, don't, whatever, just to get either my fingers to where they need to be or my hands to touch the object I'm looking for. But then recently, my left hand has had spots where I can't hold on to things. So I'll be holding an object, and then all of a sudden I'm maybe not thinking about holding that object, and I've dropped it. So it's like I have to constantly be aware and be conscious of and be intent to hold things. And so we just did an EMG on my arms and hands, which all that came out normal, as one would expect. So he's looking at my MRI, specifically the lesions in my neck, and I just had a new MRI. So if anything has progressed, it's just still there. But it concerns me as somebody who lives alone, without, caregivers or support systems and stuff like that. What would I do if things did progress further with my hands because I've had tremor situations come on before where I wasn't able to eat for a week until the tremors went away.
Wow. Yeah,
I tried to make like smashed avocados on toast, because I can make toast. I can make and eat toast, right? Yeah. That doesn't take a whole lot of work. But I tried to throw an avocado on there and it ended up all over my kitchen cabinets. I laughed about it. What else can you do? But it did bring up the idea that I might be in a world of hurt living alone.
Yeah, that I don't know. That's a really good question. I know, like, as my MS progressed and before I met Dan, I had to look for assistance through like a program in our state. And that's how I was able to find a caregiver. I don't know if you have like any sort of waiver programs or anything like that in Florida, or if you could talk to your neurologist and see. Because that is a very valid concern. And as we age, you know, and with him having MS and me having MS, you know, no.
Well, no, you did. She's just like talking about aging, and then right away with him, I'm just like, what?
You know,
Did she look directly at you in case you weren't aware of that?
Oh, God.
But no, I mean, Michelle, that's a really good question. I don't know. Maybe something, what do you guys think? Bring up with your neurologist, see if your doctor has any.
I mean, he's aware that I'm concerned about that. He's aware that I don't have, you know, support or, you know, family or anything like that. So, I mean, it's, you know, every time something like this crops up, I always make sure that I'm very upfront and forward about those facts of my personal life with them, because people forget. They always assume that you've got, you know, family and, you know, loads of friends and people that are just going to jump in and help you, whereas I don't.
Yeah, that's
There was a conversation that I had maybe even a year ago, and I'm surprised that I remember this at all. But somebody I'd spoken with talked about different products that you might be able to use for different tasks. Like, you know how you might use a straw to drink out of a cup instead if you can't hold the cup, things like that. Perhaps buying pre-chopped vegetables if you can find them in the stores and using those, something along those lines. And I am just trying to figure out who I spoke with. If I remember correctly, it may have been a researcher at UT Austin, and I could be wrong though. But I'd like to think about it a little bit more, and you know, maybe email you back or call you back if I can remember at all, because I feel like I have had this exact same conversation before with somebody who knew about little tips and tricks that you might be able to do for daily activities.
Well, that to me sounds like an occupational therapist. You know, getting like different eating utensils, weighted spoons, fork that you can use, like wrap around your hand. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, occupational therapy sounds about right to me.
Yeah. And if you think of it, Hannah, maybe in our next group when Frank is showing off his cool like foot orthotic, you could tell us about that, doctor.
Oh, you know what? I grew up in Texas, y'all, and I went back to have a high school reunion recently and got in contact with a girl, you know, from my art class that I just loved. Her name is Robin, and she's married now, so I don't remember her new last name, but she runs in the Austin area, and she is a speaking of hands, by the way, she runs like a physical therapy for your hands. She's not an occupational, I don't believe, but she's some other, she might be, but she runs a clinic, and I would highly recommend her just based on the person that I know. So I'll have to find her information and throw it out to the group, you know, to parse on to anybody, because there seems to be a number of people here from Texas. Oh, and I should parse that over to MS Pals Texas as well. So if anybody is in the MS Pals in this group or watches this, the MS Pals Texas group is kind of an independent group, but we still manage it. And so that's something. And I'm working on the logo for Rick as well. And all of those other things. So, okay, I just wanted to throw that out there because all this conversation reminded me of her.
Yeah, well, thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you. I actually pulled up a tab so I can look up MS Pals later.
Yeah, and Randy, you should, like, not to put you on the spot, but will you tell everybody about your awesome group?
Yeah. So my page, I guess, is Must Stop MS. It's also like Twitter handle. But there's a group named Chat MS. It's hashtag Chat MS. And every Sunday or every Monday, not Sunday, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we do like I guess we still call it a tweet chat, but we do it in the Facebook group and Instagram as well. To where each week we'll chat for an hour, and each week will be a different topic, and we'll have like 7 to 8 questions. So it's just a place to bring the MS community together, so they can support each other, and then also everybody can share their experiences, based on that topic.
And
And it was Chat MS?
Yeah, hashtag Chat MS. And you can find the group on Facebook, and then you can just search the hashtag on Twitter too if you're on Twitter. But
Cool.
Yeah. And it's a really good group, and they have good conversation, and it's a good way. I find Twitter is fantastic, but it's a little intimidating at times. But Facebook suits an old lady like me, and I'm like, I can rock Facebook. That's no problem. Every once in a while, the hashtags, no thank you.
Yeah, I can't do all that. Twitter still confounds me, and I'm trying, because I like Instagram, so I'm trying to get used to it because they seem to run along the same platform type, and so, but because Instagram is like a happy place to go. You can see happier things there. So
all the pictures.
I'm not a big meme personally, but they have their place, especially certain times.
What I like about the chat MS is like the conversation isn't over after the hour long that you do it on Monday. It's just like, dude, I go on to Twitter and stuff throughout the whole week, and there's people still commenting within the hashtags. And I think it's just, I think it's a great way to stay connected. So
yeah, my phone is like nonstop. Like it's crazy. Yeah.
So okay, so then 8 years diagnosed.
Yes.
And I mean, and I should know this, but how long after you were diagnosed did you start that?
It was probably, well, the chat itself, I think, was about 5 years ago.
Wow.
So we've been doing it every week for about 5 years now. But the Facebook page is where it all started with the Must Stop MS piece. And I know what helped me initially when I was diagnosed, like what helped me accept the disease, is talking to other people, right? Like finding online forums and things like that. And, when people are newly diagnosed, they're scared, right? Most people are going right to Google, and you never know what they're going to find on Google. So then I got the idea. I said, what if I can play a role in potentially maybe preventing other people feeling the way I did, if that makes sense. So the Facebook page was created to share, updated information that was, I do my best to, fact check, I guess that's the word now that's popular now, right? To fact check everything, and also like provide like support. If people have questions, we can share it there, and things like that. So that's kind of how it all started, and then it expanded to Twitter and then Instagram, and it's kind of where we're at now. So.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I'm not like 8 years, and I'm not signaling out and somebody who's celebrating her anniversary. I mean, do y'all like celebrate your diagnosis day anniversary? I do.
If I remember to, now I just realized, October 16th, just, oops, I missed it. But November 15th was my first medication day. That was my Tysabri day. So that's more of one I celebrate, because I feel like I knew about the disease longer than the doctors did. And so I celebrate the medication more, because for me, getting the diagnosis was just a method by way to get treatment. It's like, yay, I've got a diagnosis. Let's move on. Let's get a treatment going.
Yeah, for me, I guess I don't necessarily celebrate, but I always try to take that day, at least a little bit of time that day, and almost reflect. Kind of like on the past year, because each year, kind of brings like new symptoms and things like that and new challenges. But I also kind of reflect on like how I've grown like in that past year. And so I just kind of always take a little bit of time on that day, not necessarily to celebrate, but just to reflect, I guess, on, where I am now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like how far you've come, because the treatment and the things that you do make you feel better, do improve the symptoms that you have at the time of diagnosis, because steroids and then getting on your DMT, because that stops the immune system. So it gives the myelin a chance to improve, and rather than just constantly being bombarded. And since myelin grows back so slowly, it can take years to see any, to not notice a symptom is gone. You know, you might, oh, look at that, I forgot I had that. Yeah. Or, wow, that's not as bad as it used to be.
It does make me happy to hear that there are others who do celebrate in some way, or like you said, Randy, take time to reflect. Because for the longest time, I thought I was the only one who did that too. I don't necessarily celebrate the MS itself, of course, but it's more the journey that it's taken me on, and the newfound sense of self that I've discovered along the way. It's not, and it's also the new community that having MS has opened up to me. I never would have learned about this entire community of people out there who are experiencing the things that we all experience if it wasn't for MS. And so I celebrate the new people that I've met in my life. I celebrate the accomplishments that I have achieved as a result of having MS. And I think it's important to make that distinction, because you're not celebrating having MS, you're celebrating what it's made you become. And the only reason I bring
that's
well said,
celebrating
Hannah.
your awesomeness.
Yes, actually. The only reason I bring that distinction up is because this past June 28th, which was my diagnosis day, I actually had a really big fight with my mom, and I call it a fight, not argument, because she didn't understand it. She still doesn't understand that part of it, because for her, being in the position that she's in, seeing her daughter go through what I'm going through, it's really hard for her. She's a parent, she loves me, she doesn't want to see that. And even right now, it's like bringing up goosebumps for me. Yeah. But seeing her, or listening to her talk about what it's done for me, really, it made me want to bring that up, because I'm sure that there are so many people who are close to people who have MS who don't want their loved ones to go through that, so they may not understand the celebration. So I just wanted to bring that up.
I have to say that if MS was a job, if this was my job, it's been a good ride. You know, I mean, really, the stuff I had the opportunity to do because of MS, because MS put me in a position where I could do something. It's just been absolutely amazing. Yeah. I mean, when I lived in California, I ended up getting on a work group for the governor's office. I mean, come on. How many people get a chance to do something like that? And it was all because of a connection to the MS Society. And that led me to get on the California State Citizen Corps Council. And that's how many people get a chance to do that. And oh, by the way, the last year I was in California, I was the vice chairman of the California Citizen Corps Council.
That's major.
Oh,
yeah.
How in the world can you do that? You know, and there's just so many other things. There's just, you know, my work with the AmeriCorps and reading and approving grants for AmeriCorps for the state of California was phenomenal. I mean, how does that happen? How do you get those chances? You can't get those chances. You can't make that happen.
Yeah.
And the people I've met and I've had a chance to talk to on the advocacy front, you know, I can't complain. I really can't. I mean, I wouldn't say I've made the best out of it that I could, but I'm sure I've got awful lucky.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Frank,
You really do learn that there are
what's
lots of
more
awesome,
painful?
amazing people out there.
Absolutely.
It's
Frank,
funny when we first started like writing like our blog, like way back in the day, there was someone whose blog was "Perspective is everything." And I think about that with multiple sclerosis. When I'm having my worst day, I'm like, perspective is everything, because I'm sure there's somebody who's like, oh, what I wouldn't kill to have your problem. So I just try and think of Michael and perspective and everything.
Well, and yeah, and it's like, yeah, you're lucky, Frank. But I mean, just the fact that, it wasn't the MS. It's like you took the initiative to be your awesome self. And so anybody, the accomplishments we've had, I mean, Kim, that you've got, your personal trainer, that you went out, you found that. It's just like, we didn't sit back and just wait for things to get bad. I mean, we're all here. We're taking the initiative to do this, to improve ourselves, to be our awesome selves. I mean, it's just like the MS is just, I don't want to say making lemonade, but it's just like, you're making the best of a really, really bad situation. And then just like, so kudos to all of us, really.
Well, looking at the people that are on this call right now, these are all A-type personalities. I mean, there's not a B-type follower here. These are leaders, okay? And I feel sorry for the people that are not the A-type personalities, that don't take charge of the things, that don't advocate for themselves, that aren't strong and and independent.
But
it's people I want to get to.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Frank.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that it's our responsibility as A-type personalities to kind of try to lead those B-typers by the hand and get them out of that funk. And
Yes.
Hopefully they can become A-typers or C-typers that do something totally different, maybe like the art, or get their inspiration out in some other fashion, maybe not necessarily by stepping into a leadership role or an advocacy role or an activist role, but by doing something else that brings them happiness or others happiness and inspiration, maybe.
100% agree with that.
You just have to put yourself out there. That's all it amounts to. You've got to put yourself out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've decided over this last year that I'm wanting to go into more of the political activist side. This political season has taught me that I want to do more.
You find your passion wherever you find it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I put
And
myself
I'll do that
out
for
there.
as long as it's, as I feel like I want to. My mind changes often.
Your disease changes often, so your mind can go with it.
Has anybody else felt the need to do something a little bit different? I know Randy's been doing his thing for quite a while, and then I'm not familiar with I can only see 6 faces on my little phone screen, so I know there's more people on the call. But so I don't know if anybody else has kind of felt that way. Have you wanted to change what you've been doing and move into a different arena?
Yeah. What about you, Gail? What about you, Mike?
I wouldn't say I'm looking for a new arena. I would like to change some of my daily routine though, get more exercise and move around. But with COVID, it's hard to do a lot of things that we used to do. But I think it's a mindset thing with me. I just have to make it my mind to do it. And I'm pretty happy actually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What about you, Gail? Not to put you on the spot, but I've been putting everybody else, so.
You know, I am thankful for all that I am blessed to be able to do. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a mom. My daughter is in college, and you know, we have an active life. I have my husband home, my daughter home, and you know, I do. I'm blessed to be able to do my normal life. I just have to do it more slowly, more carefully, so I don't fall, or I have to do it, you know, with more rest, with taking naps, like you mentioned one time, Hannah. You know, just making sure that within my day, I take that time to rest and eat it. But, you know, as a family, we like to take a walk in the evening, and I have my hiking stick, and I'm blessed to be able to walk around the neighborhood, you know, so I really, I feel very blessed. You know, I have a great doctor and very supportive family, and I don't, you know, I don't want to, I know there will be limitations as time goes on because I have primary progressive MS, you know, so I know that I'll have more and more symptoms as time goes on, but for now, I don't feel like I have a lot of limitations. And I know that not everybody in this group, you know, feels that way. And I don't know. I don't want to make light of anybody's situation who's not able to walk around the block or whatever. But for now, that's where I am, and I'm grateful to the Lord for what I can do,
Yeah.
knowing that may change. So.
And I think that that's a great place to be too. You know, the way your outlook on life and the way you get to enjoy the little things like taking your walks with your family, which sounds so much fun too.
Yeah.
Well, what I like about a group like this is there's no judgment here. You know, nobody's judging anybody else. You know, and we can be ourselves, and nobody's going to take offense at anything. I mean, I hope nobody's going to say anything too radical. I would hope not. But you know, it's a no judgment zone. Nobody is going to judge you for whatever you feel or whatever you think. You know, and if you're down, you're down.
Mm.
And if you're up, you're up. I mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
I realized too, for part of my day, you all have talked about cog fog, and I have that, you know, and I have to realize when that happens, you know, I have to stop and just, you know, I cannot keep going, or I will, you know, I'll regret it. I'll have a fall or whatever. So just learning how to live with some limitations, hey, has been helpful for me too. Can't do what I used to do, but to look at what I
Thought
started.
you know, looked like you had a burglar.
Oh, that's my sweet husband. He's my tech support as well as many other things.
And Hannah, who do you have with you?
This is Jax. This is my boyfriend's kitty cat. He's sitting here. I had to pick him up off of the table because he's looking at my food. And I was looking at me like, why don't you give me your food?
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. He's a sweet cat. He just is relentless when it comes to food. So
He's fixated on that plate.
Yeah, you can tell exactly where that plate is right next to him. He wants it. Yeah,
That's so funny because
here for a little bit.
That's so funny because my cat won't have anything to do with human food. He'll smell it. He wants to smell it, but he will not eat it. Not one bit. Won't taste it. I've tried tuna steaks, chicken, shrimp, any kind of seafood. I've tried everything, and he'll like the only things he'll nibble on, and it's always hit or miss, but it's like vegetable leaves, like celery leaves, broccoli leaves, and then he's from time to time he'll eat like white beans, like either he's very picky on which bean he wants, like either navy beans he likes, but cannellini beans he won't have anything to do with. I mean, yeah.
Tree, do you have any pets?
Let me see if I can.
Oh, baby.
Can you see his face? I'm not sure if I. Monkey.
Oh, he's so cute.
Wow. Wow.
He's my big kitty.
Well, it looks like I know, like, through past conversations, a lot of us have pets. You know, they're like awesome support for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
would not go walking as much as I do if I did not have a dog, honestly. I am so grateful to have a dog.
Aw.
Oh, Tree.
Tree Tree's left
Oh
arm.
my goodness.
Your dog's making a cameo.
Very stylish too. I love it.
Yeah, Monkey walks with me. That's one of his, he loves to go outside on the leash and walk. And he actually got certified as a emotional support animal a couple of years ago because of it. Because he helps me want to get outside. He kind of forces me to stay on schedule. He makes me go to bed when I'm supposed to instead of staying awake and watching TV in the living room. And so, yeah, he's my cool cat.
Pets are good like that.
My dog Lucy was trained to be a service dog. She has horrible public manners, so that's why she doesn't act as one. But in the house, she acts as one.
Are you going to try again with her, Tree, or are you going to find another dog to train? Or?
I originally was training her when all my issues first started, but I've since learned to use my crutches to make up for a lot of what she was supposed to do. And I always have my wife with me, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And I spent way too much money trying to train her, and I don't have that kind of money anymore.
I got to tell you about a support dog that I knew, and tell you a little story about him. There's a friend of mine, he has since died, that got a support animal from the VA, and it was a chocolate poodle, full size. And so we were going to Sacramento, California on a advocacy day. So we flew up, he laid down in front of us at our feet on a Southwest Airlines flight, made the flight great, no sweat, no problem. We go out and he's going everywhere with us. So we go into the California State Capitol. And this was when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor, okay? Governor Schwarzenegger decided to put a full-size California brown bear statue in front of the door to the governor's office.
Oh, no.
That dog went berserk. Every time we walked past that office, that dog was going to attack that bronze statue of that bear. And it was the funniest thing just to watch him. He was just as polite as he could be for that bear, and he lost it every time.
Every time. That's funny. Well, it's getting to be, it's a little like after 10. I just, yeah, was there anything that we didn't, anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about tonight?
I just have my disability hearing on Friday the 13th this week.
How'd that go?
No, it'll be this Friday.
Oh, this
wow.
Friday.
On Friday the 13th. So.
Good luck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Our next meeting, yeah.
I looked at the calendar. I mean, obviously it's the 10th, and simple math would have helped me, but I was just like, what? How many days? So it'll be on the 24th, November the 24th. It will be the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
So we can talk family drama.
Hooray!
So we'll have demos from Frank,
Yes.
and we can hear about Kim's hearing.
And then
Hannah's, and
Hannah was going to talk about the conversation she had potentially with an occupational therapist or someone that, But we all have multiple sclerosis, so if we forget in the next 10 days, nobody will hold it against us.
Also, we may be able to talk about my son's getting another Emmy award. So
nice.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Who's your son?
Huh?
Who's your son?
My son is Brad Austin, and he's a producer and director for PBS in Kansas City. And he's already got 4 Emmys, and he's nominated for 2 more this year.
Very cool.
Well, congratulations to him. I love PBS, so that's awesome.
Well, Michelle, I tell you what, you're on. Are you on my Facebook?
Yes, we just recently connected.
Okay, well, I'll put his programs that he's up for on my Facebook, and you can watch them at your leisure.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you.
I'm always putting something he's doing on there.
Okay. On the 13th, I'm going in for a apnea narcolepsy sleep study. So I'll be there from the 9 p.m. until Friday night until 5 p.m. the following day, unless they find I have apnea. If they find I have apnea, then they'll kick me out in the morning.
Wow.
Good luck with that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
definitely.
One step toward figuring out why I keep falling asleep when I eat. Or, yeah. I'm not sure if it's just more disease related or if it's, something else. So this is one step toward trying to figure that out.
Good luck, Gail, tomorrow on your Ocrevus infusion. First
Yeah,
full-fledged dose.
Yeah, congratulations. High five.
And when's your appointment, Petrie, at the center?
18th? Was it the 18th?
The 18th.
Yes.
Good luck with that.
Next Wednesday.
We have all kinds of stuff.
Oh, next Wednesday. Very cool.
Yeah.
I have my Ocrevus infusion on the 20th coming up, so it'll be right before our next meeting. So yeah, I'm excited to sleep all day.
So you get sleepy with the Benadryl because the steroid just hypes me up. You think I talk a lot here? Oh, you should see me there.
Yeah, no, I fall asleep and I am drowsy the entire day up until I leave, because they don't let you leave right away. But I get my sleep in that day, so it's nice.
I'm like you, Hannah, just like that.
You get sleepy on your, okay, I am like friggin' pumped up. I'm like, energy coming on.
Party in the office.
So interesting. No, that Benadryl does not hold a candle to that steroid for me.
Wow. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, very cool. Well, then thank you all for coming. And
yeah, Yeah, thanks for
I mean,
coming.
Yeah,
no,
thanks for doing that. I'm glad I was able to make it for once.
Yeah.
Thanks.
well, I do. I think that it's like, when you talk, Frank, you said like we're down or we're up or things, just like, I can come to these meetings because we had like a church council meeting before this. I think how we were going to make that meeting doesn't start till 8:30. I was like, dude, I'm not going to get to bed till at least 1 o'clock because I just get so excited from all this conversation. So thank y'all that I won't sleep tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, that was thank
Glad we could help.
you.
But no, it's always good to see y'all.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we'll have,
Okay, have a good couple of weeks.
yeah, we'll
Yep.
see you in 2
See
weeks.
you in it is 2 weeks because it's the middle of the month. So we will see you in 2 weeks on the 24th. We got lots to talk about on the docket already. So
Yeah.
so stay safe and be well, everyone. And I mean, other than that whole multiple sclerosis, do the best you can with that. So but yeah, then we'll see you in a couple weeks and, reach out, everybody's on Facebook and stuff. So stay connected that way, because we don't have to wait until the 24th to connect and catch up with everybody. So until then,
Absolutely.
yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
Take care, everyone.
Tree, I'm going to reach out to you to see if we can't get you in the MS Pals group and then maybe MS Pals Texas as well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, well, take care, everyone,
Yeah.
and you can stay on. I'm just going to stop the recording in 3, 2, 1.